Hello and welcome to Flory Models. Here we are with you for the Friday Roundup show on the 4th of March 2022. A really busy week, getting back into it, obviously having a little bit of time off recently, and yeah, been pushing on a lot. So anyway, all started on Monday where we had part 6 of the Super Hornet. So this is the Revel Wonder, that is the 32nd scale Superbug. This is the F variant, so it's the 2-seater. It hasn't been a pleasant kit all the way through, and we are using a lot of aftermarket parts on it, as you know. So we're using, we've got some Edard Brazin stuff down in there for the wheels. We've got the Quick Boost ECS pipe system down in here, and a few other bits and pieces as well. Really trying to liven it up and bring it up to life. And I think we are literally getting there. It is coming together. So we've got the cockpit installed in there, but again, we had some nasty old gaps right the way around it we had to take care of. We had to make some changes to the front end as well to make a nicer fit. And then, as I say, we fitted those ECS pipes, as you can see down in there. And then it's a case of going around the usual, to be honest, a little bit of filling and sanding required and rescribing. The tail flames, they just don't fit. Well, actually, the lie is, somewhat of a lie, the port tailplane doesn't fit. The starboard one does. Don't know. But anyway, a little bit of super glue just to tack it in place. And then what we did, we went in there with some homemade gloop, which we'll talk about in a moment, really to sort of structurally bring it together, because obviously super glue's in there, but it's not really going to hold it together long term, let's face it. So by using some melted down sprue, or in our case we use plasticard, we can actually put a gloopy substance in here which should be just as strong as the plastic all the way around it. So it's a good way of, like, you know, gap filling big joints and making it structurally sound. So unlike some fillers that can crack, or, you know, CA glues and stuff like that, that's why we use that one. And then, as I say, it's nice, it levels itself out, sorts itself out. It's not too bad in there. And then we went over it with various fillers and things just to make sure we've got a perfect finish. But as you can see, it's not looking too bad up here at the front and going through. And then the next big issue is obviously taking out the center seam, which isn't actually a seam line, it's a mold line right the way through the clear part, which is something you can't really get round. But anyway, we're going to fight with that one in the next part. But anyway, the big problem we got down in here is, for some reason, the coaming over the front instrument panel doesn't fit. So again, we were just trying to take a little bit of plastic, if we could, down here at the bottom out of that to make it a far nicer join, and so that way it's not spreading out too far, which is then encroaching on the clear part as well. So that's the big problem. So you've got one of those, you know, issues where it's a small problem but gets bigger because it's on different levels. So obviously down in here we had an issue with the actual plastic part down in here for the actual instrument panel. We'd obviously use a colour photo etch set over the top of it, which was probably a little bit bigger as well. So what we ended up doing was taking a little bit of width out the insides of the instrument coaming, and we took a little bit out of the actual instrument panel without affecting any of the details. So then this way the clear part, when it comes on, does fit, because without it the clear part just doesn't fit down in there. And then it's just been going around and taking care. So we use a little bit of Mr. Surfacer to go over these areas where we've been in, and then obviously we've had to rescribe and take care of all the panel lines and all the bits and pieces. And to be honest, she is here and she's somewhat getting there now. The front glass work is in, and so we've had to do a little bit of modifications all around there, but it's in. But the good news is it's rescribed now, we're re-riveted, all the other parts are all just ready to go onto this one. So next week this will just be a case of getting into primer, then we're going to go through the actual paintwork on this one. So hopefully the light is definitely end of the tunnel. I'm not going to say it's been an easy build. It's been a nightmare from start to finish. But like we said, there's something, I don't know, perhaps I'm just a martyr, but I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy the struggle. Yes, it's great to do a kit that just falls together, but in some ways, if you've got a kit that's got a few problems, I don't mind it as long as it's cheaper. And this is a little bit cheaper, but I can honestly say if I was to do it again and I've got it there, that's the stupid thing to this, I'd probably do the Trumpeter 32nd scale Hornet. Even though it's not as modern as this one, it does need a few upgrades and things like that to bring it up to this type of standard. I think it'd be a far easier build. But the light's at the end of the tunnel. We can see now we're really ready for primer on this one. So next week that's going to be a case of getting it through the primer coats. The painting stage is pretty straightforward, being usual US military stuff, and then that way we can actually start to get this somewhat coming together. And again, it's going to be nice because we've got a system where we've modified it so the wing fold works now, and then obviously we can do drop flaps and slats and all the parts on it and make it look like a really nice aircraft at the end of the day. So yeah, it's nice that all the horrible stuff's out the way and all the rest of it, so now it becomes just a standard build as we make our way through with that particular one. Up on Tuesday, we just go back a level here, we obviously were sort of following on from the problems that I've actually had, and yes, I'm closing my eyes because I'm grabbing the tail, which is the structural part at the back, to see if it would hold. I was waiting for it to snap, but it did hold its ground. And in this particular show, we were looking back obviously at the weekend where we were working on the CL215. If you haven't seen that one, that was a day show. We had a morning show and an afternoon show live. So a big thank you to everybody who purchased off the PM store as well, and obviously off the Flory model site. And again, we were going through the motions of that one, and then we were talking literally in this particular video about styrene fillers, when you use them. So, you know, and again, just a small recap, go off and watch that one, but I've had lots of questions about it. When do you use a normal extra thin? So when do you use this type of glue? Or when do you use something a little bit thicker, like a contactia glue or weld action glue? When do you use things like, as you say, sprue goos and things like that, as I call them? When do you use a CA glue? They've all got their points in this one, but it's all just different ways of handling it and what specifically in. The easiest way to do it is, if it just touches, then obviously extra thin glue is absolutely fine. If you've got a big area where obviously this stuff dries so quickly, so obviously wings and fuselages, there's no point trying to use an extra thin because it takes too long. It doesn't do a proper seal all the way through. You're better off with a contactia. So that's, you know, pretty good for that particular one. But then, as to say, when do you use like a CA glue? So I use CA glue when it's not structural. So i.e. I would never use it on a wing like this, because if that was just CA glue, it would just snap off. Or you flick it, it would just crack and come off and things like that. So again, if that's the different types of ones, when would you use a filler over obviously glues? We talk about all of that one in that particular show. So if you want to go off and see that one, that is up for you now as we make our way through. So anyway, that was there. Then on obviously Wednesday, we had the PM show. So up on the PM show, we're actually obviously talking about all things that are going on at the moment, various things in the world clearly and stuff like that, and the various stocks we were up to on there. Matt's figure painting video went up as well. So obviously this is the one where he's painting the tanker figure. So great job on that one. Nice detailed stuff. There you go, he's having his cigar, no it's not, it's a fag, painted up and all the rest of it. So say congratulations to Matt, that one's looking really, really nice. And then we had our first review of the week. So we'll look at these again in a minute, but we had the actual Boba Fett review. They apparently don't call it Slave One anymore because it's not politically correct. So we're calling it now Boba Fett's Starship because it's been Disney-fied. But anyway, a really, really nice kit, but we'll talk about those in a moment. Next up we had, oh, we're going too far down the way now here. Well, obviously we had the live show last night, so it was really great to see everybody on there as well. Usual fun and laughter and everything else like that. And then up yesterday we had Ashima's Lamborghini Mochi Lago on there as well. That's a beautiful kit, very, very detailed as well. So again, we'll speak about that one in a minute on there. And then last up for this week, we've got the next part of the actual Hurricane one up. So say plenty going on with this one at the moment. So we've done the front end now, so we've cut it all open and everything so we can get it in. It's all masked up, so it was over to the spray bay where we could actually get some paint on. So usual thing, green down first, so the inside of the canopy is the right colour. Then we put a black coat, basically it colour fasts it. So when we say colour fast, you don't get that translucent look through your framing, especially on larger aircraft. You want to really make that solid looking framework on there. And then usual thing, it's in with primers. So for this one we used go back to an old favourite really, and we do speak about it during the video build, is the 8K's micro filler primer. Amazingly, I've had this bottle kicking around for donkey's years, and I got it out and we put the mixer in it and all the rest of it, and it sprayed beautifully smooth, no problem at all. So there we go, that's all getting the primer down on there. Then we did the wheel wells, so we painted up the wheel wells on the inside. Then we went in with gloss aluminium down for all those, and then we've masked it all up, ready for the paintwork to go on. So before that, we've done the tail. So we've gone in there and we've actually done the tail as well in the sky colour, and then we got that all masked off. So now we're ready for actually going through it on paints. So the underside, literally we went down in there with the, I can't remember which colour we even used on that one now. That's with the medium sea grey. Down there on the underside right the way through, and put a nice coat of that going down on there. Health and safety first, masked and spray booths, especially with kits this size, and it came out really very, very nice indeed, so no problem with that one. So anyway, you can go off members and you can see that one now. That is part 7, which really gets you to here. And then hopefully you can see on the underside, we can see it. We've done all the weathering under here as well. So this will be up with you next week. And I must admit, I'm waiting for a little bit of paint coming in from PM. It should be here either tomorrow or Monday. And then that way we can get the top half all painted. Then we can get in there with the camo. And this little lady is coming to life. I have to say, I've really fallen in love with this kit. It was one of those kits that's been around for ages, and I had it in my stash for probably 10 years, and then I sold it. And then I went back and bought another one, like you do, and I've loved every minute. It's a simple kit, and in some ways I can draw comparisons with ICM. Bless them. God, let's hope that they come back. But yeah, it's one of those. It's not overcomplicated. You've got everything in that kit to make a fantastic jump off point to make it what you want it to be. So by that I mean is if you wanted to completely rip it open, as in have all the structures showing like it's in deep maintenance, you've got all the parts in here that will get you off to a really good start. If you want to do the engine, clearly the engine's not fully detailed, but you could go in there and do all the plumbing. Same goes with the guns, the wheel wells, certainly the cockpit. We've done a little bit of work in there anyway, but generally it's a really good kit, and it doesn't break the bank, and you end up with a 1/24 scale Hurricane, which is, you know, crazy big and all the rest of it, but it's very impressive. And you have to go back to when this kit was released as well. So it's early 2000s, and those were the days when Trumpeter's 48 scale stuff had huge rivets in it. We used to joke about calling it the Trumpeter Riveter, would go round because they were hugely overdone. But it works perfectly well on this scale. It's probably the same scale as what they were in 48, but in 24th, spot on. So actually, this kit is probably light years ahead of its day. So if you do like your big scale stuff, honestly, have a look at their stuff. I'm not saying every kit's as good, because I've done some of their other ones and they're a little bit, but definitely that is a very nice kit. But anyway, weathering done on the underside now. We're turning our attention to the top. So we'll get the ocean grey on there, and then obviously the green. Then we're going to be going through with the weathering stages in this one. And if you've seen our free to watch Spitfire series that we did a few months ago just for Christmas, this one's going to be getting the same treatment, but obviously on a bigger scale, because obviously it's a larger scale. Instead of 32nd, this one's obviously 24th, who's making our way through. So again, great work down on that one as it's making its way through. And that's pretty much it for this week. The reviews we had, I say we had 3 fantastic reviews up this week. First one was obviously Boba Fett. You can go off and watch this one now. And again, I think really for the money, and the scale and all the rest of it, it's not a bad kit at all. Like we said before, the box art just does not do this justice. The build-up photos of it are just horrible. So consequently, this thing's come along, and actually, it's actually very nice. See, nice stuff down in here. You've got everything. I'm not saying it's as detailed as it could be, but again, bits of plastic cards, some scratch building into this one, you can actually end up with something very nice, you know, some fully detailed stuff. And again, we do a little bit of a comparison between this one and obviously the last one that I built, which is actually the Bandai flavour. So this is the Bandai one over here on the right compared to obviously this one on the left, and of course it doesn't have that level of detail because this is just moulded in one, where obviously the Bandai one, this is like multiple parts make up this particular set. But generally I think it's really good. It's got all the details down in here, it's not a problem, and again with a little bit of creative sort of, you know, weathering and painting and bring this all alive, it'll be absolutely fantastic. But that's a bit of a scale comparison. Obviously this is the Bandai one that I did many moons ago in 144 I do believe, and then obviously up here we've got this 1/8/8. So yeah, that's it. That's a lot difference in scale. As you can see, it's almost twice the size. So again, it'd be one of those where you've got all these details are just here. They just need a little bit more livening up. So I think really if you got in there with a little bit of plastic card, you know, a little bit of scratch building, as we were saying, you could actually turn that kit into something really nice. But anyway, the full review is up there now, and you can have a close-ups of the stills if you want to as well. So there's that one. Next up we had, as I said before, the Ashima 24 scale Lamborghini Murcielago. Beautiful car, and again, great kit, fully detailed, lots going down in these kits. As you can see, there's lots of bits and pieces to get your teeth into, and again, if you wanted to, you could add more details if you wanted to. So loads of stuff, beautifully molded. There's no seam lines, no sink marks. Yeah, it's just very nice right the way through. And again, it's got all the molding things to put it onto a stand and all of those. But again, as you can see, very nicely done all the way through on that particular one. So very nice indeed. So you can see that you even get a mast set with it, which is very nice, and the decals are pretty darn good too. So yes, very nice there. And then last up for this week on the reviews, we've got the Hms Kent. So this is the Ashima 1/700 scale kit again. So this is this little beauty as well. And again, the box art does come with these planes. You do get the 3 of them down in there. It's the torpedo bombers. And again, it's the one where HMS Kent took a little bit of damage to the rudder, I do believe, and got towed back, but still made it right the way through the war. And again, it's the Waterline series, very nice deed. You get your photo etch as well, some really nice details in this one. And again, very, very nice indeed. So say if you're into your marine or your maritime type stuff, then this one's definitely for you. A really very nice kit by Ashima on that particular one. Again, you've got lots of options down in there as well. So yeah, really busy week getting all of this stuff done. To say next week it's going to be more time in the spray booth, which, as you know, is probably where I'm my most happiest, but it'd be nice to get these ones done into paint, and then obviously week after we'll be weathering them all. So again, differences in the weathering processes. Obviously with the actual Hurricane, it's going to be more panel line led and all the rest of it, but obviously because you don't get many panel lines these days, and riveting detail, especially on modern aircraft, they have a different approach to it. But the great thing is, being Navy, we can go to town with the weathering. So lots of anti-corrosion type spray and those lighter panels everywhere where it's had touch-ups and stuff like that. We intend to do the full hog on this particular one as well. So there's still loads and loads to come on these particular ones. Over in the forum and the bits and pieces that are going on at the moment, if we just dive down in here, we have had to make a couple of changes. Obviously, because of the way the world is at the moment and the terrible stuff that's happening over in Ukraine, we didn't think, for multiple reasons, but we didn't think it was appropriate to do a Zvezda group build for later on in the year. Mainly because, you know, this is nothing derogatory against Zvezda as a company, because as I said before, I think this is more, to be honest, to do with the government, shall we say, than it is the people of Russia. I've got nothing against the people of Russia. Just what's happening in Ukraine is absolutely, yeah. But anyway, so we've pulled that one for the moment. We've kept it on the back burner. It might appear later on in the day, but the problem could be is physically getting hold of Zvezda stock. Because obviously various embargoes that are going on at the moment and stuff like that, trying to get Zvezda kits is probably going to be a little bit of a problem. Anyway, Nathan has jumped to our defence on this particular one, and if I can quickly find it for here, is in here. So where are we? Group builds, group build chat, that's the one. We just need to pop in here. So obviously originally it was going to be later on in the year anyway. Nathan has now very kindly, if I've just got this one in the right way, hold on, I'm going to try and find it. Obviously the one for 2022, as you know, was running through here. So what we've done is we've changed it. Oh, it's all moving all over the place. Oh God, no, it's jumped again. Sorry, hold on, there we go. We've changed it. So the one that's going to run from September the 1st until, as you can see down in here, the 31st of December, the last one of the year, we thought it'd be quite appropriate to change it to a peacekeeping SIG. We did do one, but it was about 12 years ago now, so we're going to revisit that one. So basically this is UN peacekeeping efforts from basically 1948 to present day. As I say, there's been 72 missions around the world from that one. Pretty much everyone's taken part. And well, the other thing we was thinking is, let's face it, a lot of Soviet equipment has been used in peacekeeping roles, so it'd be quite easy if people have gone out and bought Zvezda kits for that upcoming group build, you can easily defer them into this particular one as well. So really that was the plan for that. So as I say, it's nice, Nathan's jumped in, put this all together. It is up there now. There is full details over in the forum, but if you were planning on doing Zvezda kits, as was going to be end of the year build, obviously we've changed it now to a UN one because we think that's a little bit more appropriate from what's going on in the world at the moment. So yes, lots to come on that particular one. Over on the PM store, there's various things going on at the moment, obviously down in the sales. Obviously still recovering a lot from last week again, but we've got some really nice stuff in. We had a massive restock, as you probably know, of Kinetic when we spoke about it on Wednesday. We've got all the Hobby 2000, which is the Dragon, which we think is probably the best in scale for the 109 series as well, and all the other ones down in here. So we've got lots of other ones down in there. One little thing to say, if I've got it here, is this particular kit. Now, this isn't in the sales section on the PM store at the moment, but we do want to draw your attention to it because this kit is going to double in price. We've got a few in stock now at £12.50, and we're going to keep them at £12.50 until the new stocks arrive. Okay, so we're not just going to hike the price up and all the rest of it, but if you do want a very nice one for the old Hanomag down in there for the German half-track, grab it, because again, when these sell out, the next lot that come in are actually going to be at full price, which I do believe is almost double. So all prices, as we know, are growing across the world. This is definitely one of the bargain ones. So if you want to grab that one now, I suggest you do it this weekend before we sell out, because when the restock comes in, as I say, they are going to be, I think it's double in price as well. So yeah, so if you see it, grab it. If you're into it, it's definitely one of those ones to get. So there we go. That's a good one with that one. And that was about it for this week. Very, very busy week. I know it's, you know, one of those things at the moment with the stuff that's going on in Ukraine and that. Obviously, we try and stay as mutual, you know, as possible on this one, as neutral as possible. And, you know, we don't like to get involved with the political side of it and stuff like that. I'd like to thank all the Flory members for not dragging it through the forum and everything else like that. It's terrible. We all agree on that, so we don't need to go through the issues of it. So but as I said before, I really want to put my heart out to obviously all the Ukrainian companies as well as the Russian ones. I think the Russian ones are getting a bit of a bad press, but you have to think the poor guys at Zvezda, you know, trying to get their stock out of the country is going to be horrendous for them now. Quinta Studios, I think one of the best things ever happened to the hobby in the last few years. These are all Russian companies which may find it very difficult to sell to the West. So this is no part of their fault as being a company any more than it is a part of ICM or anybody else who's actually in Ukraine as well from getting their kits out. So think of companies like Mini Art, you know, so hopefully this calmer heads are going to prevail. Can't see it if I'm being honest, but let's hope it can. Or definitely we'll still be able to get ICM kits, because let's face it, I think they are probably or definitely one of the biggest upcoming manufacturers that I've seen over the last few years. You know, they've really turned it up. So my heart goes out obviously to the people of Ukraine and everything that's going on with them as well. But generally this isn't brilliant for the hobby, shall we say. I think it should be, you know, as you say, it's one of those things, it's only going to be derogatory to everything. So hopefully calmer heads can prevail and we can get over this as fast as possible and put things back as it was. Just say it. Anyway, that's it from me this week. As always on a Friday, I'm going to leave you from your great work from the gallery. So until Monday, everybody, happy modelling. Take care.